Welcome to the little intro section we have at the beginning of every one of these Hatecasts. Now, guys, I do have an announcement. Today is the day. We have 3 flavors now of Cannibal Ferox. We have Strawberry Kiwi Crush, Carna Candy, and Pineapple Express. All of them in stock, and buy one, get one. So if you have not tried Cannibal Ferox, which, by the way, has been getting some awesome reviews as of lately, go ahead and pick yours up today over at www.chaosandpain.com. Now, that's it for the shilling portion of the show, and I would encourage everybody to go ahead and join our secret Facebook group, which we have, and I'll link in the comments section or the description box below. I would encourage everybody to sign up to the newsletter so you can know about new product release, new blogs, and stuff like that we have up at www.chaosandpain.com. So that you don't miss out on a thing and you don't miss out on sales. Because sometimes we launch these sales and we just don't tell anybody about it, and only our mailing list gets to take advantage of them. So, yeah, really important that you subscribe to the newsletter. And let me go ahead and end this little intro. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the newest Hatecast, guys. I am back with Jamie Lewis.
I am here.
And we are going to answer some of your questions. Now, instead of rambling for an extended period of time, let's jump right in.
All right.
What do you think of carb backloading?
I haven't read about carb backloading in fucking 5 years. I honestly can't tell you a single thing about carb backloading. I really can't. You eat the carbs at the end of the day, right?
Basically, you save all of your carbs for after 6 p.m.
It's just people trying to overcomplicate something that's very simple. I really don't even think that after 6 p.m. that you shouldn't eat carbs and all that. That's not even fucking true. Really, if you want to blast carbs, do it post-workout. And the rest of it, I don't know. That shit is just stupid. It was a fad diet. It's dead now. Let's leave it dead.
You know, I'm the same way. I think that one of the great things about it is you have to kind of examine when these things come back around. You have to kind of examine where they came from. A lot of this carb backloading stuff was invented for the sole purpose of getting skinny guys to gain weight. It wasn't used for fat loss, right? Or it wasn't in the first iteration of it. So basically, the premise behind it was to bulk without getting fat, which, you know, your energy balance is going to determine that, not how many carbs you save for after 6 p.m. So I'm not sold on it. It does not have a place in my life. So, I think we went over that. This one kind of plays with it. So, the meal timing. Can we go ahead and expound on that? What are our thoughts on meal timing? You know, the whole post-workout, pre-workout, I don't know, meal timing all around. What do you think?
All right, I take an anthropological stance on meal timing because, like for instance, the adage that your body can only absorb 30 to 40 grams of protein at a time, which is entirely horseshit. Those things seem to have come about, and nobody has any idea where they came from. The oldest evidence I can find of 6 regularly spaced meals seems to come from the late 1950s, Bob Hoffman era. But you look at people eating throughout the ages, they didn't have to pulse their protein and do all this bullshit. They just got jacked without that stuff. And I mean, you look at the Farnese Hercules from 2,000 years ago. The guy who stood for that would be big standing on a bodybuilding stage now. And he didn't know from shit about having 6 meals a day and all this bullshit. At the end of the day, I think it's some people trying to force reality to match their conception of what it should be. So they're running studies on pulsing the protein and things like that. And I think that it's, as a general rule, much ado about nothing. Because, again, we killed off all the megafauna with sharp sticks. It's not like people were running around with AKs and nuking mammoths from the sky. If we were jacked enough to do that shit on eating one gigantic mammoth steak a day and then housing some berries the rest of the day, I'm pretty sure we can get by on the same shit now. And then on top of that, you look at sumo wrestlers. They eat 2 big-ass meals a day. Right. And they carry more muscle than bodybuilders. Even though Lyle McDonald, holy fucking shit, if that guy isn't the most autistic, useless retard on the planet. I regret ever citing any of his information, any of his books. But, yeah, I got into it with him over the weekend about that, and fucking guy.
Yeah, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
There is some research to kind of suggest that it's better to have multiple meals than just one big meal, right? And that mainly has to do, I believe, with blood sugar and stuff like that, right?
Well, I think your nitrogen retention... Your nitrogen retention does peak at a certain point and then drops off, but that doesn't mean that all that protein's worthless. So, yeah, probably you do absorb more of it if you separate 400 grams of protein out into 6 meals as opposed to 4 or 3. But
I don't think this study had anything to do with protein. I think it had
really?
to do with other health factors, right? Because,
okay.
Protein's a big concern, right? Everybody's concerned about nitrogen retention. Everybody's concerned about amino acids, that whole amino acids delivered steadily into the bloodstream thing that kind of, that I don't know what kind of fucking marketing that is, but, hey, whatever. But I will say that one meal a day seems to be worse by a fair margin than multiple meals a day. Now, that was not specified whether... See, the amount that they had in the study was 3 meals a day, right?
Okay.
Which I don't think is unreasonable for most people out there.
Right.
Even if you do have to rely on, the complete cop-out that is a snack. Come on, guys. You're grown adults carrying around fucking bags of trail mix, which, by the way, is a great way to get in some calories, but...
do people actually do that?
It's
eat trail mix?
It's a fucking meal. It's
yeah.
food that you digest. The whole word of snack is I don't know. I don't like the term snack.
I'm with you on that. It's a small meal. It's a big meal. It's still a meal.
Yeah. So, but 3 meals a day seems to be and anything excess of that, I'm not really sure. I know that it was popular via the bodybuilders and stuff like that back in the day. Protein every 2 fucking hours because reasons. Which I don't think any of them actually went into.
I think it, as I recall, it had to do with gastric emptying and the uptake of whey protein. It didn't have anything to do with the uptake of actual food.
Now, see, I could definitely see when you're at a stage lean level of leanness, right? I could definitely see bloat being a problem when it comes to photo shoots and stuff like that. So maybe that's where it came from. Maybe
I don't think so. I really think it had to do with the amount of protein that you would retain. You'll still run across these fucking idiots in gyms who will tell you that, who will just tell anybody who will sit still long enough, all these truisms that they know about lifting that are all horseshit. And those are just some of them. They won't shut the fuck up about it. And I swear the next person who tells me I can't absorb more than 30 grams of protein in a sitting is just going to get punched out of his fucking chair. While I'm sitting there housing barbecue 3 times the size of this little bitch, and he's babbling to me about how much protein I can retain.
Also, people don't realize this, but you don't digest things in 24 hours. It's a longer process than that. And there's multiple other factors. He also said timing of micronutrients. And he also said for competing or as well as training. So, but there's not really much of a difference.
Timing of micronutrients, when you're taking your vitamins?
Possibly. I know there's that whole thing about vitamin E being bad to take post-workout or pre-workout or whatever it is. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
and
really
when
care too much.
megadosing potassium and all that shit, I can't be bothered with that. I'm not going to take a handful of fucking potassium before I work out. I'm just not. Like, and somebody was telling me, well, eat six tomatoes. I hate tomatoes. I wouldn't eat one tomato. I don't
That's
give a fuck.
oddly
I
specific.
don't give a fuck what kind of pump it'll give me. I'm not going to do it. No,
What's
it's
your
because
secret,
the
bro?
it's
What's
because
your secret, bro? 6 tomatoes.
yeah, Jesus, it's max of that 30 bananas, faggot.
Oh my god. Um,
Oh, and for anybody who wants to get all feisty about it, I'm in the club, so I can use that word. So there you go.
yeah, don't worry about it. Plus, it's not. I mean, in the context of it, it wasn't used in a derogatory manner. So,
No, well,
I
it
mean,
was in a
well,
derogatory
it
manner,
was the
just
old
not
school,
towards.
like '90s versions of it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it had nothing. It had nothing to do with how many dicks you like in your life.
It's like saying retarded. You can't do it anymore, man. You can't do
I
it.
do it.
You're gonna fucking offend people. You can't
I
do it.
enjoy that word. I enjoy that word quite a bit.
I know it's retarded.
Although I feel
The
like I might throw autistic in there because I've been developing a profound dislike for autistic people.
Okay,
Like
but that's a new school one though. People just
people
recently started calling people autistic, right?
people with Down syndrome are cool as shit. They're like human little golden retrievers. They just like scamper around. I mean, they do a lot of masturbation, but who doesn't? Maybe they want to slow down on humping people's legs in public, but Downsy, and you can put. I actually had this idea the other day. So we're driving down the street and we saw these like park ranger things, and I came to the realization because I've always believed that we could find a good thing to do with Down syndrome people, and
Oh God.
being fire watchers would be the best job because one, you could give them like steps to go through. Like you look there, you look there, you look there, you look there, then you look there, then you look there, then you look there, and this is super important. So you got to do a good job at it. And then you give them an ice cream every day that they did a good job. And on those, if they ever discover a fire, holy shit, you throw them a ticker tape parade. That little motherfucker will do that job happily for the rest of his life. And I mean, if you've ever met a person with Down syndrome who ever won a medal in the Special Olympics, they will wear that medal until it literally rots off their neck. But they will do that job for the rest of their life just on the off chance they might get another medal.
I think we've solved the world fire crisis.
Is that not genius?
I think we've solved it.
Hey.
Also, anyone who is offended by that little rant, read Jamie's blog. I promise
Yeah,
there's more.
also, I'm saying I like Down syndrome people. I will pat them. I'll pet
Yeah.
them. I'll pat them on the head. I'll tell them they're a good boy or whatever. I've never really met a Downsy girl. I mean, I've seen them, but where do they keep them now?
No fucking clue.
Yeah, 'cause I haven't seen it. I mean, you every now and again you see somebody and you're like, it looks a little like they're from Idaho. They might have some potato in their, blood, but I haven't seen a good old fashioned like smacked in the face with a shovel full of Downs. I haven't seen one of them in a while.
Well, hey, come to the South, man. Come down where I live.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what happens when 6 generations of fucking your sister.
Jesus Christ. So, next question.
I'm offending
here.
everyone today.
It's okay. What is your favorite gym equipment you think every gym should have, excluding bars, racks? So, what's your opinion on that?
Well, you got to go with your obvious cables. I mean, I love cables. I know people will scream faggot about it, but I just like cables. I like doing rope pushdowns. I like doing rope curls. There's also it's the Bodymaster squat machine. That thing is the fucking shit. You get an awesome pump on your legs if you're doing it for squatting, and you can do Viking presses until your fucking eyes bleed on that thing. The machine will take a pounding. I love the shit out of that thing.
I
So,
have to agree with you there. If I had to pick one specialized piece of equipment, the Bodymaster squat machine or Super squat machine, which is the knockoff, is a fucking great option.
I don't know what that thing costs, but I might get one for my basement because I love that goddamn exercise. Especially on a day when I've had a shit day and everybody's pissed me off. I'll just get in there and go fucking bananas on that thing.
There you go. Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And cables is also a necessity for me, too. I mean, I don't necessarily use them as much as other people do, but I will say that tricep work is great on there. Even like cable lateral raises, I've found to be extremely effective. There's other things like cable pullovers and let's see here, the stupid single arm tricep extension that I've been doing. I think is really fucking cool. Also,
it's like one of those. It's not free motion, but it's similar to free motion, and they have a unilateral tricep push down. I don't know if it's the same one you're talking about. It's like you're seated and you put your triceps against pads, and then you do a push down. Holy shit, the pump you get off that thing is crazy.
Yeah, and then they have those other ones where it's like a seated dip. I don't like those too much, though.
I mean, there's just not one of those that works for anyone who's reasonably strong.
Or tall.
Yeah, like, all right, I get you there.
It's like me getting into a fucking clown car. Jesus fucking Christ. That's another thing. Gyms have equipment built for people under 6 foot. Now, I understand it. You cannot buy specialized fucking equipment for everybody. Like, the racks, I have no problem with. I can set the pins on the outside of the rack to do overhead press or something like that. No problem at all. Pull-up bars? What the fuck? Gyms, what the fuck? Okay, I'm sitting here, my toes are touching the fucking ground. Sometimes, in some gyms, I have such a bad problem with it, when I'm doing pull-ups, my knees touch the ground, even if they're fucking bent. What the fuck, gyms? It's okay, it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. And I would just like to clarify for anybody who, because we have a Bodymaster squat machine at Lifetime, does not fill the bill of this. It's the Bodymaster plate-loaded squat where the plates go up high. They go head height with you, not the ones that load down at your feet. Because when it loads down at your feet, it throws off the angles and you can't do Viking presses.
Okay. Just as a little bonus to that question, what's the worst piece of equipment you've seen?
Those leg presses where you got to climb into them and they're like a story off the ground. That is just the most insanely useless piece of equipment that humanity has ever produced.
Yeah. You're talking about the ones that are like almost looks like a multi-story machine. It's so fucking weird. Yeah.
It's like you've got to get inside a transformer, or you're like in a mecha and you're like fighting a war against legs or something.
You know, I will say one of the more interesting ones that gym owners still seem to invest in, right, is hex plates. I don't know why the fuck you would invest in hex plates. Are they cheaper?
What does everybody hate about hex plates? I can tell you why they do it. It's strictly for insurance purposes, because the plates that don't have handles on them slip out of people's hands and they drop them on their ground or drop them on their feet when they're sweaty.
Okay.
You went to law school, man. Come on, think that through.
Well, man, you just
don't like deadlifting with them.
I hate deadlifting with them. I hate rowing with them, especially if you're doing something like Pinlay rows, right? Because when you set them down,
it just pops back and smashes you in the shins.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear you.
It's fucking useless. Don't buy them, gym owners. Don't. Just reevaluate.
How about this? For your platform, get some real fucking bumper plates.
Yeah, I would have to. Hold on, I'm having to answer a text here, so.
Oh my goodness.
I know, very rude.
Unprofessional.
Very rude. Okay.
I'll take that a step further though and go like this whole rogue bullshit where you'll go into some of these like quote unquote hardcore gyms and you see these little 140-pound pussies benching with bumper plates. I just want to grab the bumper plate and speed them over the fucking head with it.
Those are awesome.
Who benches with God? And it's just because they don't want to look like pussies. Because they got 15s on there and they're fucking. They should be benching like an adult with actual wheels.
You know what's fucking cool? I mean, so this whole fake weights aside, because that's a thing. That's definitely
Yeah.
a thing. Fake weights aside, I have seen people use bumper plates for Instagram videos. So they put something on the bar. Like, somebody in the know could tell that they're fucking bumper plates, unless they're those black plastic bumper plates. I mean, we've all seen them, the knockoff ones, right?
Yeah,
And
Rogue has every single size of, or every single weight of plate has the same size, which is disingenuous. I mean, that is borderline treasonous.
so you could say, I'm benching, 505 or 405 or whatever, right? And you could have
Yep.
like on all tens. And
Yeah.
you can tell from the way that the bar sits on people's shoulders
Yeah.
and the way that they're just not struggling that they're
How
using
about,
fucking wrong bumper plates.
how about the fact that the bar isn't bending?
That's another thing too. And you'll see, my favorite thing is you'll see bumper plates on the side on a, like, Rogue bumper plates on a regular, like, mainstream gym bar that would definitely bend under 405, right?
Yep.
And nothing. In fact, the bar wiggles a little bit because they're popping up with such speed. It's like, no, stop. You're not fooling any. Well, you are fooling everybody, right?
Yeah.
Because you have so many fucking Instagram followers. Fucking beating your dick to yourself. It's like, goddamn.
I can honestly say Rogue has not done great things for the lifting community. I really don't think they have. I think that for every single advance that they have made in the lifting community, they have set the community back at least one step as well. And that's not to say that I'm going to, like, throw in with Elgin, who will screech about how CrossFitters lift with shitty form, and it's like, they're still stronger than you, just like most elementary school girls and cripples and people with polio. Most people with AIDS, I would say, are probably stronger than Elgin.
With lupus.
I'm pretty sure that if I went into a coma for 6 months, I'd come out and beat Elgin in a lifting meet.
Probably. But then again,
I'd also still have degrees from, like, accredited universities that I didn't, like, mail away for my law degree and shit.
Don't worry about it. He's El Trapacabra. So
What the fuck does that mean?
it's something his fans say.
Oh, Christ.
I followed him a while back when he was actually poking fun at everybody instead of, like, beating his dick to some people.
All he does all I've ever seen him do is bitch about CrossFit. And I just have a real it's kind of like there was a body shaming, not that I don't want to go down that road. I'm just saying that there was a body shaming article yesterday about this guy on a school board who was talking shit about this chick on the school board, and he posted a pic of her ass from her Facebook, and it was like, the chick wasn't fat, and he was saying she needed to lose 30 pounds, and it's like, but that motherfucker has 3 chins. Like, what is happening? How do you feel comfortable talking shit about somebody's physique when you look like a pile of uncooked cookie dough? Doesn't make any sense.
I will say that his video talking shit about Mike Chang, which is the six-pack shortcuts guy, was
no idea who that is.
Man, you need to look up six-pack shortcuts, man. It is like the fucking running joke of the YouTube fitness industry.
I live in blissful ignorance of those things.
I know, man. Just the other day I was telling you about, like, squat girls and their collagen implants. Or their butt implants.
Yeah, that's shameful.
So, our next question's kind of interesting and made me, I think this one's going to get the free product. So, best, and mind you, before we go into this question, Chaos and Pain does not, blah, 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 drugs, blah, 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 does not endorse, taking stuff that's
don't
illegal
use
in your
drugs.
country, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah, this is your brain on drugs, this is an egg, and they have nothing to do with each other. Best on cycle supplements for blood pressure and liver that don't affect androgen receptors. Now, don't affect androgen receptors was really specific. So, I went ahead and looked into it. So apparently there's some unjustified concern over milk thistle when it comes to androgen receptors and
Milk thistle
downregulation.
doesn't do anything. It has no effect on your liver whatsoever.
Here's the thing. Okay? People have
If you
been
want
taking...
but if you want something that's good for your liver, take NAC and then just shut up.
Or Tudka. Tudka actually reduces alcoholic... if someone's an alcoholic and they take Tudka, it's actually prescribed by doctors.
Really? How do you spell that?
Tudca, Tudka.
Tudka. I thought you were saying Tupka. It's a vine. It doesn't stand for anything. It's a vine.
Oh. Okay. But
yeah, you could actually grow that in your garden, as I recall.
Yeah. But yeah, that's fucking cool, right? So Tudka is something that I would seriously look into for liver support. Although I would like to touch on the milk thistle thing for a minute. So I have the study that I'm going to link below, and this time I will remember the link. Some things I'd like to go over concerning milk thistle in the study is the person who's asking this, I think they're referring to the study, right? So I believe it was referring to milk thistle and impairing or down-regulating androgen receptors.
Incidentally, I was wrong. I was thinking of some other kind of vine.
Okay.
Tudka does stand for a word that probably somebody on the planet could pronounce, but...
So Tudka, yeah.
Tauroursidioxycholic acid. But anyway, Tudka.
It's pretty good. But they were talking about, in the study, silymarin, which is the polyphenol, right, that's in milk thistle, inhibiting AR activity, specifically in prostate cancer cell lines. So, for you guys out there who are in the know, this is great for prostate cancer patients. But the study also heavily implies that the inhibition was not systemic. Here's an interesting quote that basically answers your concerns. Expression and steroid binding affinity or binding ability of total AR were not affected by silymarin. Basically, what that means, to dumb it down for people, milk thistle will have no bearing on how effective the androgen you're using will be. It is specifically, the mechanism is specifically for prostate cancer patients. So, good news for prostate cancer patients, bad news for prostate cancer, which is good news all around. But that's basically it. There's no reason to avoid milk thistle.
Except for the fact that it doesn't do anything to clean your liver.
I know, but just...
I don't understand. How do they know that it binds to androgen receptors, but they don't know it's useless? Because basically, if you look it up on PubMed, it all but says useless.
But, to answer your question, so that kind of answers it. I'll link the study below. You can read through the full abstract if you're really bored one day. I mean, extremely bored. This stuff is very dry. It's not very exciting. Yeah, so that or Tudka. Tudka, I'll link to some Amazon brand, which, by the way, would you guys be interested in a Tudka product? Please let us know in the comment section below. Also, for blood pressure, usually when it comes to blood pressure, specifically when it comes to on-cycle stuff, you're usually better handling that by doing a couple different things. So sleep hygiene is very important.
Talking to your doctor?
Yeah. Doctors.
I'm just saying.
Everyone should talk to their doctor. That was a joke.
They probably have some good blood pressure medication. I've never bothered taking it, but...
Right. But specifically for on-cycle blood pressure related issues, those are usually best fixed via sleep, so getting plenty of sleep, cleaning up your diet, so add in stuff like blueberries, which lowers blood pressure and stuff like that, making sure you have plenty of salt in your diet, making sure you have an adequate amount of calories, because a certain portion of the population will actually get high blood pressure from going hypocaloric. That is a very weird phenomenon.
I actually do, which I can attest to only because there's been a number of times where I have consumed too much alcohol, and for one reason or another, had to see a doctor thereafter. And my blood pressure is always through the roof. And it's not, well, I mean, I'm sure part of it is because I just like went on a bender. But the other part of it is I haven't eaten in like a week. Yeah. And so all I have to do is just smash food like fucking crazy. And in 2 days, my blood pressure is fine.
And, other than that, I mean, those are the things that you should really look into before you look into pharmaceutical help, which we will go over. And we can go over another gear tangent, I think.
Before we move on, do you think that there's any sort of benchmark? I assume everybody's referring to orals with this. Is there any sort of benchmark dosage, do you think? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just saying.
No, go ahead.
Do you think there's any kind of like benchmark dosage for orals that at that point you need to start thinking about maybe finding something to do with your blood pressure?
So there's a couple different concerns. Anadrol is one of those that just spikes your blood pressure.
Oh, yeah.
It does it for no fucking reason. You can look at Anadrol and get 10 points. Like, yeah. It's fucking weird. D-ball, not so much. If we're talking like other things that I know people use that they're not supposed to use, shame on you. Superdrol is another one that can...
Jesus, people are still using... Why don't you just kill yourself?
Cheek drops also.
Yeah.
Spike, really bad. Hydroxy test, really spikes, really bad.
Methyl test, I can attest to this.
Yes.
And methyl test will put your blood pressure right through the roof.
So any of the ones that promise a very big increase in strength and aggression are probably most likely going to... even Winstrol can spike your blood pressure, by the way. So those are the ones...
I did not know. Anavar doesn't, though. Does it?
Nope. Oddly enough, Anavar does not. Here's the thing about Anavar, too, which is really weird. It has a high... on the anabolic androgenic ratio, it has a high androgenic side to it. And usually things that have high androgenic ratings usually spike your blood pressure, but Anavar does not. So, which is a little weird. I'll look into the mechanisms behind that, but I believe it has to do with just it not being as harsh. I guess, Anadrol hits your liver too. It could just be like a...
Does it? Does Anadrol hit your liver?
Because, oh, man.
Because, there was a little while where I was taking Anadrol, and then I still had some OX laying around, which is like... It's like DMZ, and I forget what the other thing is. It's in there.
Yeah.
And, I had like 4 drinks, and woke up in the hospital, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And they were like... Yeah, you fell asleep. We couldn't wake you up, so we figured we'd take you here. And I was like, I don't even know how this happened. I don't even feel drunk. They were like, yeah, your liver enzymes are insane. They're just crazy. But, like, what have you done to yourself? And I was like, they asked me if I worked in a chemical plant. Like, that's how bad my liver enzymes were. Because I literally had not had a drop of alcohol in, like, over a month. And, they just couldn't believe the number that, I don't even remember what it was, but they couldn't believe the number, and they were like, well, whatever you're doing, you should stop. So. Yeah. And I got to crash because I had all my gear in, like, my backpack, like, just right there in my backpack, and the cops wanted to make sure I didn't, like, overdose on heroin or something. They didn't want to hit me with Narcan, and then they just took all my gear, so.
Oh, that's fine. But, that's what I would suggest. Worst case scenario, if it gets too bad, go to your doctor and get something prescribed. Blood pressure is one of those things where you don't want to fuck around with it, right? You don't want to, like, it's fine. It's 180 over blah, blah, blah. It'll be fine. No, it won't. Eventually, no, it won't. Get some medical assistance. So there's my little rant on that. So that brings us to our next question. Considering how well Jamie researches the past and evolution of lifting weights, how does he predict the game will change in the next 10 to 20 years? How will powerlifting slash bodybuilding slash the average man gym look like in 2030?
I feel like that's the winning question of the month. So if we want to send that person some free shit, I encourage it. Okay. And if we don't know who it is, kudos to you. That's a phenomenal question. It's difficult to guess, I think, because I mean, are we talking? Did they say specifically? Because I was busy marveling at the awesomeness of that question. Did they say strength sports in general, or are we just talking about physical culture in general?
Let's go over all of it. I mean, okay. Because it's interesting, and I have my own thoughts on that as well. So you go ahead first.
I find that physical culture is, whereas it used to be kind of homogenous, like everybody was into being strong, everybody was into kind of by and large, looking good, with the exception of like Louis Cyr and people like that. And then it just gradually like segmented more and more and more. And I would venture to guess we're going to see more segmentation, because now you look at strongman and you've got people are getting really psychotic about like, well, we have to standardize all the implements, which defeats the entire fucking point of strongman. But you're creating an entirely different sport altogether at that point. It's like an expanded version of Olympic weightlifting sort of thing. And then you've got all these different weight classes for it as well. And the same things happen in bodybuilding, where now you've got bodybuilding classic, you've got physique, you got, I don't know, isn't there swimsuit for men now too? Or is that physique?
Could be either. No, it's physique, it's classic bodybuilding, it's 212s. I know, that's oddly specific, but 212s, and then you have the men's open.
Yeah, so I mean, and then the same things happened with the women. It's segmented like crazy. And then even down to CrossFit, you've got, I mean, CrossFit used to, and I was just discussing this with my girlfriend, that I think the appeal of Ninja Warrior now is the appeal that CrossFit had 15 years ago, where it was just like your average person who busted their ass in the gym and they were able to compete in this elite competition. Right. Ever since Reebok took it over, now it's just a pro sport, and it's not like you'll hear all these people are going to jump in the comments and be like, it's fucking bigger than ever. It's just because they're managed to dupe all these fucking housewives into paying $50 to try to get joined or to enter this competition that they can't possibly compete in. Like, how many fucking housewives and like weekend warriors do you know that can do a max snatch and then immediately do a muscle up after it? I mean, I have trouble doing a fucking muscle up. So
I can't. I've tried. I can't.
Yeah, I mean,
too much body weight.
So I think that we're going to see a continued segmentation of physical culture until the whole thing implodes on itself, because at some point it's just going to be a bunch of angry dickheads separated into, I mean, that's basically what it is now, but they're all going to be in basements and shit, because at some point the money's going to run out. You're not going to be able to have these meets in big venues and things like that, and it's just going to collapse in on itself, and then we're just going to start the cycle over again. That's my guess.
Yeah. The average man, I think, will look about what he does right now. I mean, everyone's going to be pudgy in 2030, right? I don't think that something so drastic as a complete change in how the average man is going to look is going to happen in 10 to 20 years. Just because I think that the overconsumption culture has kind of reached its peak. I think that it may even possibly, like, the average man may look a little bit better because they're worried about looking like skinny fuckboys now. So, I don't know about that. I do know that, when it comes to bodybuilding, I think classic physique will kind of peter up, and then once Phil Heath gets knocked out of bodybuilding, I think you will see, because then it will be a battle again, right?
It's not going to be a battle. It's going to be Big Ramy is so fucking humongous, no one can compete with him.
Or he's just going to not be able to fit on the stage. They're
Yeah,
gonna win out a whole stadium. They're just gonna.
I mean, that guy's like missing myostatin inhibitors or something. Like there's something there that like he's just a different breed of human being. And
because men's open, I don't think will ever lose its popularity. It's one of those things where people want to see the biggest, freakiest guys, and that's where they're going to go. They're not going to go to Classic Physique. Now, Classic Physique is pretty to look at. It's very pretty to look at, but it's not freaky as shit, and that's what people want. They want to let their freak flag fly. That's what they want. They want to go and see some freaks. They want to go and look and go, oh, look at that freak, you know? Now, mind you, because some of the classic bodybuilding guys are freaks in and of themselves. I mean, Callum Von Moger before pre-injury, I mean, he was a fucking badass motherfucker, you know?
I remember a couple of years ago, people were bitching about the class. It was right when Classic Physique first came out, and I think it was like the first Physique Mr. O or something like that.
Yeah.
And, oh, wait, no. Wait, this is two different things. There's Classic Physique, and that's where they wear the old Arnold-style bodybuilding trunks. And then there's Physique, right?
Right.
Okay, so they were talking all kinds of shit about Physique. It was before Classic Physique came out.
Right.
And it's all these little fucktards on the internet who, you know, they all weigh 160 pounds. They might bench 300 on a good day. And they're bitching about how this guy has no legs and he doesn't squat and this and that. The guy benched like 440 or something like that. And he had a reasonably decent squat too. And it's like, what are you fucking pussies talking shit about? Like, how about you guys stop talking shit on the internet and go lift some weights?
Yeah. But, you know, Classic Physique was kind of built upon a need for somewhere in between men's open and men. Now, the only reason I said 212...
I thought that's what 212 was for.
Now, the only reason I said 212, because 212 is a weight class. So, yeah. 212 has become so fucking popular because 212 is kind of a barrier for guys who are like 5'6" to 5'9", right? And those guys usually end up looking like massive monsters at 212, right?
Well, now I guess Flex Lewis has jumped up to the open. I just saw a video about that the other day. I don't want to sit there and watch Dexter. Yeah, I didn't want to watch Dexter Jackson talk shit because I just don't like Dexter Jackson. But yeah, he was commenting on how there's no way that Flex Lewis will be able to compete in the open, and I don't know that that's true. I mean, you see Flex Lewis waddle on the stage at like 5'3" or 5'4", or whatever he is, weighing 240. He might be tough to compete with.
Also, you got to understand, too, is like you say he won't do it, bet. Someone like Flex Lewis, he's going to get up there. You just threw down the gauntlet, man. And that's fine. Like Kevin LeBron tried, and he, of course, didn't have the legs. And that's okay. You know, that's
because he hadn't trained 50. Legs in 20 years or whatever.
Well, he's also over 50.
Yeah.
So, like, what the fuck? Give the guy some credit. He's over 50, and he was standing up there, guys, literally with guys, you know, 2/3 his age. I mean, it's crazy what he did, what he was able to do, come back and accomplish. It's fucking crazy at 50. You know how fucking hard that is. Anyway, you know, so Class Physique was kind of built upon the idea of needing a bridge between, and people, the ab vacuum, right, was something that they wanted to bring back. And
did they bring it back?
They did. They did in Classic Physique.
People can do a vacuum now?
In Classic Physique, yeah.
I'll be damned. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's great to look at, but at the same time, I think it'll happen to what has happened to Physique. So Physique got really, really popular, right? So one of the things that's great about Physique is you don't have to take a lot of drugs in order to compete in Physique, right? You don't at all. At all. You do not have to take a lot of drugs. People who say that these guys are on a lot are lying. Physique is easy.
I literally managed to make it, I think, 2 weeks of pinning 3 times a week. And I was like, this is just not going to happen. And I did trend for exactly 1 day. I laid awake the entire night, like wheezing, trying to breathe, just covered in sweat, angry as shit. I was like, this is just not happening. I'm just like, I guess I have just hit the wall and I don't have trend in me anymore. But Yeah, I don't get anything out of more gear, and I really don't at the end of the day understand what people do.
Well, it's all about blowing your load early. So people tend to think that I want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Or I want to. Arnold's the one I kind of revert back to because everybody's seen his physique. Everybody kind of aspires to, still now today. And that's fine. Like, I want to look like Arnold, but I don't want to spend a period of more than a year doing it. So I'm just going to take these drugs that everybody... By the way, there's a lot of mystifying, like, voodoo around steroids, right?
Yeah.
So people think that you take steroids for 8 weeks, you're going to be jacked and tan already. Like, you're just going to have the tan, you're going to have the shaved chest, you're going to have the shaved arms, right? You're going to have the shaved legs, you're going to be fucking massive, bro. You're not going to need to do anything, just sit on the couch all day. Fucking cool. No.
People keep asking me, what my cycle is now, and I'm like, does anybody ever cycle? Because I just do gear for a while and then I stop. I don't pay any attention to it. What are they marking it down on a calendar and shit? I guess they probably are. They make spreadsheets about fucking everything.
People are under the misconception that, especially when it comes to the pharmaceutical grade stuff. So, like, I'm not talking about pro-hormones or anything. I'm talking about, like, injectable testosterone stuff. They're under the misconception that if they cycle and they come off and they do PCT, they're less likely to get shut down. Now, let's just put it this way, and this has kind of turned into a little gear tangent, whatever. Let's just put it this way. If you turn the light on and off in your kitchen, everything's fine, but eventually that light will go out, right? And that's fine. It's fine. It happens to everybody. Eventually that light will go out. One of these days, you might do one cycle. You flip that switch, you're fine. One of these days, you might do another cycle. Flip that switch, you're fine. Another day, you might do another cycle. Flip that switch, light doesn't turn off. Well, you can't replace the light bulb. See, replacing the light bulb is getting on TRT. So now you're just done. You're done. Your testosterone's just shut off. And that's fine, right? But people are under the misconception that if they cycle this stuff, and if they cycle excessively high doses, this will prevent them from being shut down permanently. When in actuality, if you have the potential to have low testosterone later in life, all you're going to do is hurry up that problem. Just like balding. People who go through hair loss on steroids, or they go through excessive acne problems on steroids, those guys already have problems to begin with.
Yeah.
And those guys are just basically adding gasoline to the fire. That's all they're doing.
They banned Accutane when I was in college, and luckily it had killed my acne, but like the only thing that would get me to not break out on my shoulders when I'm on gear now is Accutane. I know that for a fact. Because, I was a fucking horror show in high school. My acne was unbelievable. Like, I destroyed all the photographs of myself in high school.
Destroyed. Speaking of fire, no, it's just, it's one of those things where it'll be fine. Like,
Will it?
I'm not going to tell anybody they don't need to cycle or anything, because that's like a personal decision or whatever. But like, you're flipping that light on and off. Eventually, it will burn out, and that's the dice that you roll, right?
And I'll just throw this in there for the millionth time. I just let myself crash. I don't PCT. I don't do any of that shit. And whether or not that helps me, I would posit that helps keep my endocrine system healthy. But I don't know that for a fact. But I can tell you this: it doesn't matter to me. Like, we both have a friend who recently came off, and he made a big deal about it. He acted like he was going to fucking die, like he was going to be in a wheelchair and shit. And I was just like, man, just fucking suck it up. Like, eat a steak. Go to the gym. Some days, and I will say this, you let yourself crash a little too hard, there will be days you are sat on the couch and you're watching, like, a car commercial on a Sunday. And all of a sudden, you feel like you're about to fucking break down and start weeping. And you have no idea why. And you're just like, I'm going to get up and go take a walk. And, you just blow some cold air on your face and, and roll it. But shit happens. But I do, before we move on, because we tend to ignore female physical culture. And I am curious as to what you think about um, what's going to happen with
Oh man, yeah,
women's
yeah.
bodybuilding versus physique, because I mean physique is essentially what women's bodybuilding wishes it was, but then there are the chicks that want to be the mass monsters, which that's fine with everybody. I think nobody really gives a shit if they want to waddle around looking like that, but one, they're horrible to be around, and two, most people don't think that looks good, and so if they want to compete in it, they got to just recognize the fact there isn't a market for that.
So it's the same thing now. This has since become more marketable, but like those people who get those horns implanted in their
Yeah,
fucking head.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, you're not going to get hired at Arby's. People are
No,
afraid of you.
exactly.
And that's fine. Like I have no problem with your horn implants, bro. Right? I have no problem with them at all. In
Yeah,
fact, some of them look
but when
fucking
you get
cool.
kill tattooed on your forehead,
Yeah,
chances are you have limited your employment potential.
right. So it's the same thing with female bodybuilding. So female bodybuilding is in a weird spot right now because, everybody's upset because the Olympia was founded on the back of female bodybuilding, right?
No, it wasn't.
Or the Arnold Sports Festival. There was something that was founded that people are upset about. I haven't really dived too much into it, but it
Women's
used to be a
bodybuilding has
big
never
deal.
been that popular.
Well, so
I mean,
apparently it didn't used to be.
I mean, I've been doing this since '93,
Yeah.
and at no point has women's bodybuilding actually been popular. I mean, I
Okay.
remember looking at Kim Chizevsky in the magazines and being like, Jesus, that's impressive. And I've met Linda Murray a number of times, and she was awful each time. And yeah, that's the extent. And I never couldn't wait to open up a bodybuilding magazine. I mean, there are those schmoes who just want chicks to like stomp on them and like face sit
Hell
them
yeah.
and choke them out and shit. But
Hell yeah.
and that's their thing. But I don't understand why those guys don't lift either. But anyway, proceed.
So, anyway, long story short, I think that there will be a small section of female bodybuilders who will keep competing in numerous competitions that have nothing to do with the Olympia. Like they're going to split off, right? And that's fine. Find your
That makes
place.
sense. That makes sense.
But I think that we will see the same thing happen to women's physique that we saw with women's bodybuilding. There will be certain individuals who will push the envelope. They will get too big for women's physique. And I think that, I sure hope this doesn't happen, but I think that there will be another
Another schism.
another schism added on for the women who have gotten too big, which will piss off the women bodybuilders before because it will be the exact same class. They're going to let enough time.
So you're basically agreeing with me that it's just going to continue getting more segmented and awful.
Correct.
It's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse.
Well, one of the issues too is like with men's bodybuilding now. There's and I always revert to that because that's what I know most about. Men's bodybuilding is like physique guys got too big for physique, right? So they went over to classic, and then they get too big for classic, and then they go over to open, right? That's kind of the natural progression of things.
That's sort of how Kai Green did it. I mean, he started out in Team Universe, but I
Yeah.
distinctly recall he used to compete at like 165.
Right. And then he bumped up to, I think, 180, something like that, 185. And then he bumped up again.
Iron Man stopped covering it after a while, so I'm back in like the Chris Dim days and like what was his name? Chris LaCour. What was that guy's name? Skip LaCour.
Skip LaCour. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
those guys were all natty bros back in the day.
But and then you have people that are in open bodybuilding who go down to classic physique and then go down to physique, right? Because they get smaller and smaller because of injuries or health problems or whatever. Like, there's this dude named Jerry Ward. He's kind of a popular fitness celebrity on YouTube's. He went from bodybuilding down to physique because he just felt better at smaller, and that's fine. But I think with women, I think we're actually gonna see some bikini girls go over to physique. I think that's another trend that I think we will see, because the stigma of lifting heavy and actually building a physique and stuff like that has kind of been has it's been a really good thing for women when it comes to feeling strong and everything. So,
You know what I miss is fitness.
you're talking about women's fitness?
Yeah,
Yeah.
those competitions, because when I lived in Tucson, I trained at this world gym that was awesome, and we had power lifters, we had fitness, we had bodybuilders. I mean, everybody was there. And so when anybody had a meet, like I did a push-pull meet back in the day, everybody came out to this push-pull meet. And then when somebody would have a bodybuilding competition, everybody would go to the bodybuilding competition. And so it was super fun, but the best part about those bodybuilding shows was the fucking fitness. And now they don't even have the routines at night because because they got 800,000 fucking bikini bitches, and so they got to make sure they get them all to waddle on stage in their stupid heels.
Well, there is something to be said about presentation and performance on stage, right? They kind of win shows when it comes to, back in the day when they had, posing routines and stuff like that. I think there's just too many competitors now. There's too many people getting into it in order to allow that with the allotted time. Especially in men's bodybuilding and stuff like that. Women's, I miss the routines too, but women's fitness, I just think people just didn't give a shit.
It was so cool. Like, you watch those chicks, they do those breakdancing stalls where they're in push-up position and holding themselves up with one arm and no feet. And it's like, God damn, I could watch that all day long. And the chicks were hot as shit.
Yeah. No, I love that, and I wish it would come back, which, that kind of brings me back to, I think in 2030, I would love to see somebody take the initiative, not me, because I can't do it, to have, like we were talking about, an odd lifts competition.
Yeah.
I think that would be, so something that people are kind of missing nowadays is just this, I don't know, man, if we could have a panel of judges basically say, all right, everybody, this panel of judges picks a lift, right? And the competitors do that with no the thing I think that would be unique to it is you have competitors that train for these oddly specific moves, and then they get really good at these oddly specific moves, but you put them on the spot and tell them to do the max weight leg press or leg extension or something like that. They're like, what?
They've got that thing now. Dorian Yates was involved in it. I forget what the fuck it's called. It's all bodybuilders.
Okay. But it's odd lifts.
It's not odd lifts. It's shit like leg press. Or instead of doing max leg press, they'll do most weight you can do with 20 reps. Weird shit like that. And I don't really understand how it's scored. I don't remember what it's called. It was big 2 years ago. They were really trying to get it going, but there's you can't go anywhere and watch it either, because it just happens they'll just show up at your gym if you want to be in this thing and put you through your paces. But since we had that conversation about the odd lifts, I'd like to add a last round to that, which would be a pose down. And the only reason is, in Jersey they used to have I think it was called the Ironman. And it was a powerlifting competition that might have also had the overhead press in it, and then you pose down at the end. And so they rate you based on your pose down, and then they put it against your total, which I thought was cool as shit.
Yeah, no, and I, like I was saying, man, people get good at the big three, or they get big at their very oddly specific lifts. But if you were to just throw a wrench in there and say, all right, guys, highest box jump, or something like that, just completely throw them off. Training.
That's way out there.
I know. It would be fucking odd and weird, but I think people would enjoy it. especially because I think there would be some funny failures along the way. Like let's take someone who's 300 plus pounds and like make them box jump. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
They're gonna go high, I'm sure. But something like that, like almost like a combine style, you know. I think people would be interested in seeing. I don't know how it would be scored. That is difficult because you would have to equate like because if you have an AMRAP portion of the event, like how many can you get with like a 225 or whatever, right? Well, that could go on, considering how strong some of the guys are. That would go on forever. Like, but how would you score that against their total against the pose down, which is a good idea, and then somebody with like an Excel spreadsheet could do that.
Well, see, I think that's why all these nerds are whining about the standardization of implements in strongman. Is they want to be like these baseball pussies who are out there with their fucking graphing calculator. Have you seen all the new weird metrics they have for baseball? I can't even follow this shit anymore.
No, I think I'm one of the many Americans that don't follow baseball at all.
I don't. I've never liked baseball, but I mean, like, they used to have like batting percentage, and like, so they don't use their batting percentage anymore. They have like an on base something or other, and slugging percentages, all kinds of shit. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? They don't use an ERA anymore. They use some other stupid shit. It's like,
that could be the fact that I think they have like a fantasy football type of thing now going on with baseball too. So that could be trying to put it on paper so that they can put it on a website and make money.
And I think they want to do the same thing with strongman. They want to be definitive in being able to say, so-and-so is better than so-and-so at this, and no, my guy is better than your guy at this, and they want to be able to bitch about who's better and worse, and so these little nerds who don't lift, and I'm convinced now that most of the people online who are talking about lifting don't lift. I think that they desperately want to feel like they can be an authority on it, even though they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and so that's why they want this standardization bullshit. Either that, or they're just fucking weak, and they want to be able to go to a competition and say that they have mastered some sort of implement, so they don't just look like a total fucking pussy competing in something they have no business bothering with.
Well, goddamn, I think that guy has definitely won the question of the month.
Yeah, he really has. We got to get him hooked up with something.
Also, I would like to answer more of his questions, so I think also we will see more records broken, of course. I think there will be somebody to deadlift 1,500 in the next 20 years. I'm calling it here.
In strongman or in powerlifting?
Either or. I think that it's
bound to happen in the next 15 years in strongman, I think, because they're up to 1,100 now.
Yeah, I don't know about powerlifting just because I think that lifting that much weight is kind of difficult for some of the powerlifting meets, especially because they don't necessarily have the equipment. I think that it would happen at something like a Worlds competition or something like that.
Also, meets are flooded with people who don't have any business powerlifting in the first place. So
yeah, and I don't know. I think strongman would be the place where that would happen.
Yeah,
I'm calling it here though, 1,500. I'm calling it here because it's just like the what was it, 5-minute mile or 4-minute mile or whatever. Like somebody broke that, and then the next thing you know, everybody started breaking it because they didn't even know that was a thing. They didn't even know that was possible. That wasn't even in their fucking mind.
That's kind of not to toot my own horn, but the record was 1,700 at 181 for the longest time, and I mean people weren't even fucking close. I did my second meet and I was ranked first in the country because nobody was even breaking 1,600 at meets,
right.
And so then I went and broke it, and then everybody came in and fucking broke it right after me. So I think there is something.
People's mind, man.
I did. I just cracked open their fucking skulls like a beer.
And you stuck something in it. But hey,
I did.
But I think that will happen. I think that CrossFit will die more in popularity. because I think that they can pump all the advertising money they want into it. I just don't think that it's way too volatile to exist for as long as strongman and stuff like that, right? Strongman's kind of come. I'm actually pretty interested in strongman now because it's kind of come out of the fucking woodwork, swinging again. Like, it lost popularity there for a while, and then all of a sudden, like, it just became massively popular, massively. So that kind of did surprise me. So I don't know, maybe CrossFit will survive the fray, but I don't know. I
really think the problem for CrossFit is going to be the fact that the CrossFit Games no longer represents the average CrossFitter. It represents professional athletes who can train 6 times a day.
How long do you think that it would take in order for it to get that way, though? I mean, it was only a matter of, like, months that happened. Like, you had everyday gym bros come in there, and then, like, all of a sudden these professional athletes were like, hey, there's a new market. Like, and then they were in there. Like, it happened really fast.
It did happen really fast. You know, it's... And then, like, Klokov was going to compete in it, and I was really looking forward to watching him just smash the fuck out of Rich Froning, and then he never did. But,
You think that was because of the weight?
No, I think that was... I think that was because of the drug testing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because he couldn't get away with the Rich Froning, I'm retired, I'm back, I'm retired, I'm back. You know, the shit that Brock Lesnar does in the WWE. He couldn't get away with that. Oh, my
God. Jesus Christ. You can look at Brock Lesnar and like, yep, dude's juicing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You don't have to think about it. Just, yep.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I'm not here to judge.
Shit. I mean, we've already admitted that we're strictly on that side. So I wish that I mean, if I could say that one thing needs to happen in strength sports, just of all of the schisms that are occurring, the drug-free versus, you know, their hideous misconception of what steroid use is, and also their incessant belligerence towards us, that needs to go away, or we'll just start killing them at meets. And I mean that quite honestly. Like, if some natty pussy came up to me and started fucking yelling in my face, I would put him through a fucking wall.
Yeah.
And then I would build a wall and put him through that fucking wall. Like, there's not enough walls in the world to put these natty pussies through, because they just don't shut up. And they think that they're holier than thou, and it's like, you're literally the worst piece of shit I ever met. You're like the worst person, but you think you're a good person because you allegedly don't use gear.
It's almost like people who are all natty bro tend to gravitate towards the same tribalism as vegans now.
Oh, yeah.
They like screaming from, or like CrossFitters when it first came out. It's like, hey, do you do CrossFit? I like to do CrossFit. You should do CrossFit with me. Come to a CrossFit. You should do one. Man, you'll feel so much better if you do fucking CrossFit. Oh, man. Like, one fucking round.
Or anybody who ever just started paleo, or anybody who just started keto. Yeah, it's all the same shit.
But if you choose that route, man, it's fine. Like, keep doing what you. Just
be cool about it.
Yeah, just be cool. Okay, I think we can move off of that.
It's not like any of us are running around with a handful of syringes trying to, like, gas people up, like, against their will or anything like that. So I don't understand why they're going to come back at us with their bullshit.
Could you imagine if that was the case?
I just had a great idea for drawing a comic about that.
Just a bunch of bodybuilders just carrying around, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you.
And then would there be a better way to proselytize our lifestyle than that? Just be like, yeah, just give it 24 hours. You're going to be walking around with a steel hard on, and you will feel as good as you've ever felt in your life. And then, like, immediately, like, it's just people wearing Sterons T-shirts and shit.
Trim bologna sandwiches on their shirt. Yeah.
Just carrying around triangular dumbbells and just stripping down to those, like, unitards that are over one shoulder.
Oh, my God. Okay, well, that's enough mental imagery to go on to the next one. What's What's the realistic strength and or mass potential of men 40 plus? Let me stop you right there.
Oh
Mass
God.
potential, get over it. Mass potential is nothing more than what you put on. That
And
there's no number.
strength potential. There's literally no way to guess that. And I mean, I'm writing about an article about this bodybuilder who what he was like a 40s to 50s bodybuilder, but he was kind of like a mass monster from that era.
Yeah.
And he was behind the neck pressing 350 when he was in his late 70s.
Well,
And,
shit. I don't
yeah, I
know.
mean, well, there's no way to guess. And this guy, when I say mass monster, was 5'8", 200 pounds.
Oh, okay, at 70?
Yeah, at 85, he still weighed 185.
Oh yeah, fucking monster. That guy's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
and natty as fuck. So there's no way to determine it. It's just kind of like, I mean, you look at Clarence Bass. That guy he was walking around with the face of a California raisin and the body of a 20-year-old, like when he was 75. So I mean, there's just no way to make that determination.
And if you need more reasons to believe this, so Jamie has an article about fat-free mass index, right?
Yep.
Okay. We're going to link that in the comments or the description box below. Go ahead and peruse that if you want to do you some learning.
Boy, that hurt Lyle's butt.
I know, man.
Woo.
He needs some Vaseline after that.
That was like a prison rape for Lyle.
Ooh, buddy. Make his hair split even more. Yeah, realistic strength and or mass goals. Potential of men 40 plus. Now, I will say this about the 40 plus. If you haven't been training legs, this is just in my experience, okay? If you haven't been doing any training of legs, you're not going to get big legs at 40 plus.
That guy was still squatting 400 at 85, by the way.
Right. And I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying that legs are generally, like when you look at bodybuilders who turn 40 or something like that, legs are generally the first ones to go. Now, I don't know if that has to do with a lot of lower back injuries accumulating, like a lot of disc issues or rampant in the bodybuilding world and stuff like that, because they all train on painkillers and all that shit, right? But, you know, it does come down to if you haven't trained legs before you turn 40, chances are you're never going to have just this baller set of legs. And you'll still look better than most 40-year-olds. That's the thing too, is if people have an unrealistic strength and mass standard in their own head of how they're supposed to look in order to look better than they do right now. I mean, you put on 10 pounds of muscle, you're going to look significantly better than you did before the 10 pounds, right? Also, considering what the Gen Pop looks like, you're going to look significantly better than them. And that's all you should really give a shit about.
What did Dexter Jackson take in the Olympia last year?
I'm not sure. I'm going to have to Google that.
Because he's 48. He took like third, I think. I think it was Phil and then Big Ramey and then Dex.
Let's see here. Fourth.
There you
God
go.
Damn. Yeah, but he's always been training legs, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he's 48 and he's huge. He's bigger than he's ever been.
Oh, yeah. Something else you got to understand about him is he's been training a long time, too. He's been, his pro debut is in 1999. He's been active since 1992. So, dude's been doing this a long time. Now, you said that you, in this question, he says that that have been nothing more than a hobbyist of fitness/lifting, aside from genetic factors. Well, genetic factors, don't even worry about that. Like, just deal with the body you're given. And if you've been a hobbyist of fitness/lifting for a while, you should have already been training. And I think you're ahead of the curve, man.
I would agree.
People who even train at 40 are ahead of the curve. Like, and that's another thing I'm about nowadays is people are always, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's a lot of older people who get like injured and have these weird health problems and stuff like that, and they live like complete and utter pieces of shit in their youth, and then they try and fix it with these diet crazes and these workout fads and stuff like that, right? If you've been doing this for a while, you're already ahead of the curve health wise, and that's what you should really be more concerned about. Now, mind you, you can get hella strong. Like, you should be able to bench. Like, if we're talking about strength standards, do you have any of those that you'd like to throw out?
Even the strength standards. I mean, we've discussed them in the past. I don't. It's. I mean, I would go ahead and say that it is a reasonable goal and it's a laudable goal for anybody of any age to be over 200 pounds as an adult male. I think 350 bench is a good goal. I'll be generous and just go with a 450 squat. I mean, that generally puts you in any gym you're in into an elite class. 500-pound deadlift, like, those are numbers to be happy about. So I would go with that. I don't even step on the scale anymore. I just go by how my clothes fit. And quite honestly, recently, because I've been trying to, like, this whole bulking thing that I've been trying to do has been half a shit show, because I'll eat myself sick for like a week and a half, and then I can't eat for 3 days. And like, I don't bitch to anybody about it. I'm not one of those, well, what do you do because it's not out and I can't eat? I'm like, motherfucker, I can't eat either. Like, I just vomited up a protein shake in the gym. So like, I got nothing for you. I just want to lay down and die. So I've been on a very weird cycle of lifting brutally hard for like 7 days, and then either not lifting for 3 to 4 days to barely lifting for 3 to 4 days, and then going back to a brutal lifting schedule. So I don't know. It's all, but still, even when I go a day where it's like I managed to get 2 protein shakes down and a hamburger, I'm still walking around like busting the sleeves out of my XL shirts. And right. So, but at 41, it's gotten easier, not harder. So when people ask me, like, you peak in your early 40s, your late 30s, your early 40s. You look at all the pro strongmen, they're peaking at 41. So don't put any limits on yourself. Just get in there and have at it. And I mean, I've known guys in the gym who retired and they hated golf and they didn't want their wife bitching in their ear all fucking day long. So they'd go to the gym, spend 2 hours in the morning murdering weights, go out, get a couple hamburgers with their bros, come back to the gym, do another couple hours in the afternoon, and they were fucking jacked at like 70 years old. So, like, it's going to be different for everybody. Just get in there and do what you can.
Yeah. And, my strength standards are a little bit lower than Jamie's, and I don't know, why that is, but I will say that 315 bench, 315 squat, and I have to agree with the 500-pound deadlift. I mean, that's pretty realistic considering, deadlift's just one of those things where, and that's another thing too, you don't have to deadlift. Like, you can just do tests, right? Or you can just, do like dumbbell deadlifts, or you can do rack pulls or something like that, right? For general health and general fitness, you don't really need to deadlift. I know that's going to get a lot of shit, I know, but it'll be okay. But those are some kind of realistic strength standards that I think people can reach. And, if you're like 60 and benching 225, like, you get a pass from me. Like, that's more than 90% of the 60-year-olds, And then once you go up to 70, if you're benching like 185, you get a pass from me. Like, you're fucking 70 years old. Like, it's time for you to go, okay, I'm good, But people just put this big importance on being the most strong and most jacked guy in their gym, and sometimes you are without even noticing. Have you ever noticed that? Like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
People who are strong, like, okay, you have this one guy in your gym that lifts like 20 more pounds than you, right? But he's got knee wraps on, he's got a belt on, he's got all this other shit on. You're doing it raw. You ain't got anything. Like, you're probably stronger than that guy.
Raw dogging it.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I've just started training raw too, so I like no belt either. So that's something.
Yeah, you don't need one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
except for wrist wraps.
I will say that I think the difference between you and I when it comes to strength standards is the length of time that I've been lifting. Because you've been lifting for what, 5 years now?
No, 8.
8. Okay, I've been lifting for 25. So yeah. It's just like I've gone through all those peaks and valleys of like, I'll get strong, you lose strength, you get stronger, you lose strength. So I kind of know what I have no retreat weights where like if I can't bench 315 on any given day, like I will commit myself fully to like living on steak and potatoes and bench presses until it's back to where it should be. So I think everybody kind of develops those things over time. And it's a matter of like whatever's in your head that you just don't like when you just think to yourself like, all right, I'm reasonably strong now, or I need to get my ass in the fucking gym.
You're like that one dude in middle school who has a chip on his shoulder. You can't even do one pull-up. I'll show you, motherfucker. He pumps out 50 of them. God damn it, I'm strong now. Anyway, but yeah, that answers that. And these are a couple quick ones that we'll go through. Were there any, and this one's interesting, I'll go ahead and answer this one because this one actually happened recently. So were there any supplement products that you almost had to market but couldn't release, whether it was manufacturing legality, etc.? So no. I think he's trying to bait us into seeing if we were ever interested in pro hormones. And the answer is no, because a lot of the guys who are into pro hormones nowadays, or who were into pro hormones back in the pro hormone days, are in jail, boy jail. They're getting rammed.
Not like the jail I went to. They went to federal prison.
They're getting rammed by 3 different dudes right now so that they can stay safe. Like, it's fucking cool. We're not about that life. So one of the more interesting products we did have is Cannonball Weight. Now, I think the reason why, because if you guys did notice, we did pull Weight. Weight was our 2-pound protein powder, and I think at that point in the game, people were, first of all, our flavors, on some of the flavors, weren't exactly up to par. Now they are. We've used premium flavoring and stuff like that. We've also switched manufacturers for that specific product, protein powder. So when Weight came about, we had 2 issues. We had the flavoring on the orange and we had the flavoring on the vanilla. And we had we had 3. The fact that it was 2 pounds, and we had the fact that people didn't like the art necessarily. Like, there were we had fucking death threats of how fucking extreme Christians would come and say, well, this is satanic. This artwork is satanic.
And I don't even remember what was on it.
It's like
it was that chick, and that was, I think, Sin's best work, and she was so proud of that, and it was a cool fucking picture.
I fucking loved it. The problem is fucking people wanted to sit there and say, it's satanic, how can you fucking press this, blah, 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 blah. So we fucking pulled it. It's fine, because it didn't sell that well. Came out with Kraken, the world changed. Like, they were ready for protein powder at that point. Now, maybe it was marketing or maybe it was something else, but we really did kind of slam it down with Kraken. And if you guys are interested in a 2-pound version of Kraken, please let us know. It's something we've been thinking about. It's something that we're also nervous to pull the trigger on. We had complaints before about our 2-pound protein powders being something like not enough. And now we have people saying that our 5-pound protein powders are too much. So
and just so everybody knows, we're a small company, and the market, we literally sell protein as a thank you to our fans because we're not making any money on it. So I mean, it's not like we're out there holding you guys over a barrel. I mean, I fought and scratched to get us a protein powder, and so we're doing this just basically as a please and thank you to you guys. So if you want a 2-pounder and you'll buy it, we'll hook it up. But like, we don't want to just produce it and then have nobody buy it.
Yeah. Side question. This is the bonus question. Yes, bonus question. How do you think that the strongman of old would fare in today's social media focused landscape?
You know, that's a fun question just because I just, you know, I'm not a person that does like lists at all. I'm not like a list guy on articles. Yeah. And yesterday I started a 10 best strength athletes in history article. And it's really hard to rank the old-timey strongmen in with the newer people because they're difficult to compare. And I think that guys like Louis Cyr would have done real well on social media because he was a showman. And I mean, that's basically what it comes down to on Instagram and all this fucking nonsense is being a showman. Whereas you got guys like Donald Dinny, who was a Scottish Highland Games guy that not really all that many people know about. Like, when you hear about guys like Jim Thorpe, who are just like the greatest all-around athletes, Donald Dinny made Jim Thorpe look like a fucking bitch. He won over 2,000 wrestling matches. He would literally wrestle anybody, anytime, anywhere, because he was just like, I'm the fucking shit.
Shows up to Thanksgiving, says, "Do you want to wrestle?"
Yeah, he ran a 10-400. I mean, the
cop pulls him over, gives him a speeding ticket. I'll wrestle you for it.
Yeah, exactly. He would literally wrestle anybody, and he won every Highland Games competition he went into. Yeah. He beat all comers in strongman. He had like I said, a ridiculously fast 100-yard dash. His 40 is faster than Herschel Walker, Maurice Jones-Drew, like all the guys you can name who had like badass 40 times. Smoked him, and like he was just like an all-around athlete, but that wouldn't have translated well to Instagram. But I think by and large the bigger names would have done pretty well, because I mean, you look at like Eugen Sandow, who wasn't really like one of the strongest people on the planet, but he looked great and he was very, very strong. I mean, that type of shit does great on Instagram.
Well, he was also very marketable. Very marketable. What I'm saying. You know. So also I would like to bring up the fact that, you know, let's just bring for the shits and giggles like football players and stuff like that. I mean, football players of old, I think, first of all, wouldn't compare to football players of the new school, because that is one area in sports that I think has just improved across the board. These guys are now, instead of like 250 being the max that they weigh because, you know, reasons, now you have guys like linemen that are like 400 pounds. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, they would crush the linemen of the old. You know?
Not only that, but they're like 330 pounds and they can do like a 6-foot standing broad jump.
Yeah.
Like, their speed is insane. They're basically like human freight trains. And I mean, you put guys like Dick Butkus out there and he would hold his own just because he'd be gouging people's eyes out with his fucking thumbs and chewing their fingers off. But like, I mean, he'd probably need to go to the hospital after the game was over, but he would send a lot of people to the hospital as well. So, but I agree with you there. Just the freaks that the NFL is producing, it's unreal. They're inhuman.
And see, boxing is one of those weird ones where I'd like to bring up too. Boxing is one of those weird ones where you have people that are very proficient at right, left. You have people that are very proficient at punching the other guy in the face, and they've been doing this for years. The margin of error for somebody in a professional boxing match at like heavyweight is very, very small. You make an error, you lose. That's it. Like, that's why boxing is such a brutal sport.
Which brings me to, I do not understand why they don't strength train more. Like, the only guy I can think of, heavyweight, who's used to like really lift a lot, is Shannon Briggs, and he was never really all that good.
I can
He was
answer
just
that.
he was just mean as fuck.
It's a couple different things. So tradition has a lot to do with it. A lot of these
Yeah,
guys,
they're really stuck in that, like, it just like climbers are. They're stuck in like the 1970s, and they'll just eat like trail mix and avoid lifting weights and shit. And it's like, you guys have just fucked up.
there are still fucking boxers that go up there and fucking run steps. Like they fucking Rocky montage it, you know?
Yeah.
Fucking punt. Like if they could get their hands on a fucking like butchered cow that they could hang up and then punch, I'm sure they would. You know, and that's all fine and good, but there are boxers nowadays who do strength training, like Floyd Mayweather, for instance. He does strength training.
You couldn't
Tradition
tell
is
looking
good.
at him.
Well, sir. Also, another thing you got to understand is like a lot of the boxing and MMA guys and stuff like that. Some of them. Now, I can't speak from experience, but I can speak to as the fact that I actually know a guy who's into boxing, MMA, and stuff like that. From what he says, a lot of the guys don't do heavy squats, heavy bench, heavy stuff like that. It's because they're chronically injured from people like breaking their shit. So,
Yeah.
they do a lot of the body weight stuff, kettlebell stuff, low impact stuff, because some of the guys who have been in the game for a long time are just broken as shit. And that has a lot to do with it too, you know?
I will say that I've received a lot of questions about how would I change my training for MMA. And I used to, I never competed in it, but I did a lot of MMA training. I did JKD, I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, and I never changed my training one iota because strong is fucking strong. And like, if you're strong enough, you only got to slam somebody once. And I have always been strong enough. Once is all I need. Twice might kill them. So, like, I just train to be fucking strong. You don't need to be out there fucking flipping tires and all that shit. Like, yeah, that's good cardio, but like at the end of the day, I would much rather be brutally strong and just train to like increase my cardio than bother with all this functional horse shit.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. The only caveat being is sometimes because I like volume, I love going in there and doing just a shit ton of sets that make me so that I can't fucking move, right? I love it. I would not do as much of that because I would probably eat into recovery specifically for those goals, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like, that's a minor change. Trust me, that is so minor. Like, instead, okay, one of my favorite drop sets right now is doing 3 different weights on lateral dumbbell raises. It's one of my favorite drop sets right now. I don't know why, but it's gnarly. I would probably
That's old
drop
school.
that.
I haven't gone down the rack on anything in years.
Well, I don't run the rack because let's face it, if you're strong enough running a rack, you're a douchebag. Because
Yeah, I
you
just
use up
mean
the
running the
whole
rack like you might go
Yeah.
you might go 50 30 15 or something like that, or
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
50,
yeah.
50 40 30 20 something.
Yeah.
So
And I do that, and I also do something I've been falling in love with is cable lateral raises. I know it's weird. It feels weird at first, but it's just it's so good. I also do a lot of supersets. Some of that would change, but I wouldn't cut out my strength training. I wouldn't stop trying to get stronger. Like I wouldn't try and get weaker or get slimmer so that I could be, faster, because, I'm not really sold. First of all, I would have to compete in heavyweight, like the same you would, right? I mean, you would have to compete in heavyweight, right?
yeah, and I would just do the Mike Tyson thing and get inside and hope for the best.
Yeah. I would also do more ab work, right? Because that's, people try and land body shots all the time. You do not want, because about ab training, are you convinced that you have to train abs to get big abs?
Nope.
Okay. So you're basically saying
heavy front squats. Heavy front squats.
squats.
And if you really feel like doing some ab work, do some ab wheel. You need nothing else.
Yeah. See, I like. I'm glad you mentioned that. I like the doing barbell rollouts, which is
Okay,
something that.
same thing.
Yeah, but it's better for your shoulders. God damn it.
Oh
Especially,
God.
especially
Yeah.
if you have
If you don't
wide
have,
shoulders.
you don't have to stabilize yourself.
No, I don't have to fucking. Okay, I'm 6'5". My wingspan is pretty big, so my shoulders are very very broad. So that little bitty ab wheel is not a good thing for me. Actually, puts me in some physical pain. That close a grip, so just the way I'm built. But I do love barbell rollouts. Like it's fucking gnarly. But I would add in more ab work just so I can build up a thicker abs so that I can take better body shots. So, but I think we've answered that question.
I think so.
Yeah, and there's one more thing I'd like to go over. So I forgot to mention something. I have my little notes here, and I forgot to mention something. So if you are taking something methylated, right, steroid that's methylated or liver toxic, right, that's actually metabolized in the liver, you're better off taking. Theoretically, if you were to do this, Cass and Payne does not endorse this, blah blah blah. So if you were to take something that's metabolized in the liver, you're better off taking your liver healthy stuff like Tudka or something like that at night, right? A couple hours or like an hour or two after your dose of whatever you're taking. That way it won't interfere with the absorption of, it won't interfere with the metabolism in the liver. Just as an FYI.
All right, nice.
And I think that wraps it up.
I think it does. I do not have a date on this. I asked Wayne to confirm it, but he hasn't gotten back to me.
Okay.
But I am under the impression that Bacchus is dropping imminently. Like I am.
Drum roll.
I'm hoping that Wayne sends me an email that that he has some Bacchus in the mail to me over the weekend. So it's very very soon.
When Bacchus drops, I will go ahead and put it in the intro section of this Hatecast.
I'm going to have to say that we are going to have to, when Bacchus drops, we're going to have to do our first podcast elevated with Bacchus.
Elevated.
Yes,
Elevated
we shall choose a dosage that we will agree upon, and then we both take it and see what happens.
I think do whatever you do.
I think that'll be funny as shit.
I'll just do whatever you do, man.
All right.
And I'm going to take it before the gym, too, so this is going to be extra fun.
Ooh.
Yeah. Get crazy with some weight. Get crazy.
Oh, yeah, dog.
All right, guys. Well, as always, thanks for watching. If you are not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe. That really helps us out. If you like this video, go ahead and like this video. If you dislike this video, go ahead and dislike it, even though you're a douche. Also, if you have any questions for another Q&A, or because we do these every once in a while, I think next week we may do a topic. I don't know. I'm planning a trip to Austin, so I got to get something up, so we may just do a Q&A. With that being said, guys, if you have a question, leave it in the comment section below. And as always, we will see you in the fucking next one.
Later.